thanks for coming. We really appreciate it. Tonight's screening of Greatest Movie Ever Sold. I'm very happy to be here. I didn't know if I was going to make it. I was supposed to fly in on the red eye here from last night, and ended up having to fly from the red eye into New York instead, so I could go into New York City and do an interview with the New York Times, and then take the train up here. So I made it. It was great. The weather worked out. It was my friend. The whole reason you guys are here tonight is because we need your help. You guys are here because you're smart. You're here because you're brilliant. You're here because you're geniuses in the world of cinema. You're here. That's right. It's true. And we need your help to spread the word about the greatest movie ever sold.
You in the green.
Thanks. Did the pony shit in the bathtub?
No, amazingly enough, the pony did not shit in the bathtub. Maybe a little pee-pee. But no shit in the bathtub. There wasn't full water in the bathtub, because otherwise the pony couldn't stand up. So it was just bubbles. It was literally off the side you see a bubble. You can't see the bubble machine that we're using to keep bucketing bubbles into the bathtub so we can go in. Also, great story about the bathtub. Not my real kid in the bathtub. With the film. And so they 11. We had 15 partners going into Sundance. 15 of those 11 of those 15 came to Sundance, watched the film. The film played through the roof. People were so excited. They came down front after the film, standing ovation for the brand. People were so excited. The best line of the whole thing, best line of the whole night, came from a woman in the very front row, who she said, "Oh my gosh, I'm so thankful to you guys. Thank you for making this movie. Thank you guys for supporting this film. You know what? I'm going to go out and I'm going to buy more of your products because you helped make this film. I'm going to do that. But I'm going to tell you, I'm conflicted about that. Because that's what this whole movie's about." And that was the greatest thing I can remember. So, but it was literally, we were able to retain real creative control of the film, which was remarkable.
So you had mentioned for a good chunk of the film, you mentioned just how much of a success the big budget movies make because of all this advertising, because of all the sponsorship and everything. And you mentioned at one point you had friends in that industry, and you also had friends in more of the indie film industry as well.
Yeah.
What I'm curious is, would you advise for the indie film people to, maybe if they can't get any money from studios and everything, to call up a sponsorship and ask, we'll put Dr. Pepper in the movie for a little bit?
Well, up till now, a Dr. Pepper would never talk to an indie filmmaker. Would never deal with it, because it's why? Nobody's going to see that movie. Why am I going to give you, Dr. Pepper to put in a film and give you $10,000? Who gives a shit? Nobody's going to see it, I think, the question is now after this film, will things change for independent filmmakers? Will it start to open up a door for them to raise a little bit of money? I mean, for anything you can do to get money to an independent filmmaker, I'm all for, and anything you can do to let an independent filmmaker be creative and not do things like, you saw in the episode of Heroes that ultimately inspired this whole movie for me, which was the camera panning across the logo on the front of a Nissan as the father gave Hayden Panettiere, the keys to the car, and she went, "Oh my God, the Rogue, a Nissan Rogue! I can't believe it's the Rogue!" There's better ways to, I love what J.J. Abrams says, which is, I believe in storytelling, not story selling. We live in a real world where people wear Nikes, and people wear Levi's, and people drink Coke, and they drive Ford Tauruses or whatever. But I don't need to have a close-up of the logo of a Ford Taurus when the car pulls in the driveway and then pull out and see somebody get into it. It's ridiculous. It's that type of forced perspective, I think, is really detracting to storytelling unless it's done for a specific storytelling purpose. That's I mean, again, I hate that stuff. Your birds, yes.
So you are doing the Comic-Con documentary, and you did the Simpsons special, and a lot of that is focused on fanaticism, and also a lot of your documentaries are about commercialism, about products. And I think, well, my question is, without commercialism, do you think fanaticism would survive?
That is such a fantastic philosophical question. Yeah, that's a good question. I feel like, yes, I do think it would, because I think they're somewhat different things. I think being a fanatic, being somebody who loves Battlestar Galactica. I love Battlestar Galactica. It wasn't commercials that made me love Battlestar Galactica. It was execution that made me love Battlestar Galactica. It was creativity that made me love Battlestar Galactica. That's not the same thing that makes people go buy a Gucci bag. It's not the same thing that makes somebody go want to buy a pair of juicy sweatpants. These are very different worlds of influence. And so, I think that things that are in much more of an artistic field are a little different in terms of how they're consumed. Because I think that it's much more I think there is much more of a sustainable diet of that type of consumption versus things you buy. You know, there is a real lack of fulfillment, as you hear Marcus and Miller talk about. You will never be fulfilled when you are literally looking for things and stuff you buy. But if it's things that you literally ingest in a creative format, you know, whether it be a movie, whether it be music, whether it be books, whatever, you'll be infinitely more fulfilled.
That's a wonderful jacket, by the way.
Also, the purpose of a creative piece is to make an emotional connection. The purpose of an ad is to make an emotional connection in order to sell a product. It's a difference.
That's why Susan Lynn's here. Yes, sir.